guys, welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Mr. Ball.
Mr. Ball, you are actually. Yeah. In the Office Blokes.
Mr. Ball and Office Bloke.
Can't argue that.
Yeah, we are the Office Blokes. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
We are, providing this doesn't get blocked or anything, we are recording this close to Halloween because our Key and Peele reactions that we did for Halloween have been blocked.
Oh dear.
They are on Patreon, don't worry. But yeah, so we thought we'd throw in a bit of Mr. Ball in. I'm going to put it out there. I watch Mr. Ball in.
I think I've seen one of his things because someone. I think did we react to one of his things?
No, we never
I don't
reacted
think
to
so.
it.
I don't
No.
think I've seen him before, so...
I've watched.
Maybe I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I've actually binged quite a lot of his stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I've
So is
seen
he just
it.
a stand-up, is he, or...?
No, it's not
No,
comedy.
it's not comedy.
No.
Oh, is it not? Oh, right.
He just
stand-up.
He just basically tells stories, but he tells he'll do 3 stories per episode, and it could be, really strange things that have happened, or
Right, okay.
I mean, this one, top places you can't go, but people went anyway,
Right.
and it's like obviously things going wrong and scary stories and mysteries and things like that. It's good. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll get into it. Top 3 places you can't go and people went anyways by Mr. Ballen. Let's do it.
I think we all tend to believe that everywhere in the world is accessible if I just had the time, the money, or maybe both. But today, I'm going to shatter that illusion and share with you a top 3 list of places you can't go, no matter how much time or money you may have. And for each of these locations, I'll share with you an instance of people going there anyways and what happened to them. Spoiler, it didn't end well. But before we get into today's top 3 list, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. If that's of interest to you, please throw the like button into the devil's kettle in Minnesota, and then subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. There is this tiny, lush, heavily forested, beautiful island 93 miles off the coast of Brazil that no matter how beautiful it looks, no one will go to this island. In fact, you're not allowed to go to it because the Brazilian Navy has forbid it. So the legend of this island really began in the early 1900s when a local fisherman was off the coast of the island and saw right on the edge of the forest were these beautiful banana trees with all these bananas that were ripe and ready to be picked. And he thought, I can easily pull my boat over to those rocks over there, hop out, grab some bananas and bring them home, no problem. That'll take me, 10 minutes to do. And so he pulls over by himself to get these bananas. He anchors his boat, he walks up the beach, he climbs up the tree and he starts hacking down some bananas. And while he's up there, he suddenly feels a sharp pain on his rib cage. And he falls out of the tree and he looks down and he's bleeding out of his rib cage because he can see it on his shirt. There's blood on his shirt. Was there a branch that jabbed me in the side? Like, what was that? And he's alone. He's 93 miles from the mainland. And so in a panic, he ditches the bananas. He runs to his boat, gets...
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Is it the snake-infested island?
I can't remember because I watched it a while ago, but I think it is. He's definitely done one on the snake-infested island.
I read a story about it not long ago.
Did you?
There's an island off the coast of Brazil that's snake-infested.
Yeah.
And there's that many different types of venomous snakes on there that they advise you not to go on. Well, you're not allowed on the island. So I'm wondering if that's it.
You're basically goners if you go on there.
starts making his way back to the mainland, but on the trek back, he passes out in the boat. Later that day, another group of fishermen see this boat kind of drifting around near some rocks, and it looks like something's wrong, so they make their way over to it, and there's this fisherman who went to get the bananas, but he's lying on his back. He's clearly dead, and he's in a pool of his own blood. 20 years after this incident, there was a lighthouse keeper that was assigned to work on this island, and he brought his family with him. They were staying in the main house of the lighthouse, and it was going fine for the first couple of days they were there. But at some point, captains of vessels that would drive past this island and relied on that lighthouse noticed that the light wasn't on. And so they reported it to the mainland, and a search party was sent out to check on the lighthouse keeper and his family to make sure that they had all their supplies and that they were okay. When they get to the lighthouse, they find the entire family is dead in their bed. And the only clue they had were these puncture marks all over the bodies of these deceased lighthouse keepers and an open window. So what killed these people that went to this island? Technically, they died from a poison that literally melts your organs within 60 minutes of coming in contact with it. But that poison comes from a very famous venomous snake called the golden lancehead viper that only exists on this island. They exist nowhere else in the world. And so this island has been dubbed Snake Island. And since nobody goes to this island, the lancehead viper population has exploded. They are thriving on this island. In fact, researchers say that there's at least 3,000 of these venomous snakes that live on this island, and for every 1 square meter of the island, there is a snake. Which means if you're on this island, you are always within 1 meter of something that can kill you. And these snakes aren't just on the ground either, because their primary food source are birds, and so the snakes have begun to live in the trees and catch birds that land in the trees. Meaning, if you happen to be walking on this densely forested island, you'd be surrounded almost 360 degrees by these wickedly venomous snakes that if you are bit, you have 60 minutes to get the antidote. If you don't, you're doomed 100% of the time. Nowadays, the only people that go to this island are the Navy, who replace the batteries in the lighthouse, which is now automated because it's too dangerous to be there. They go once a year to replace those batteries. Researchers occasionally go there, and you have poachers that go to try to catch some of these snakes because they're so rare. They can sell on the black market for $10,000 to $30,000 US.
Jeez.
Wow.
But many of these poachers that manage to sneak onto the island just get bit by these vipers and die. So there you go, karma.
I agree with
worth
that.
it.
That is
sounds
karma.
grim, that.
not worth it,
why
is it?
would you? Not at all.
I like it when poachers get it, to be fair.
Serves them right.
Yeah.
I watched Mastermind last night, and one of the guy's specialist subjects was venomous snakes in Africa.
Really?
I was like, what
Is
the
it?
fuck? Who knows about that? Guy was rolling off the answers.
Wow.
I'm like,
But I mean, places like that exist. Fuck that.
I know.
Just stay clear, wouldn't you?
Do you think they try? I don't know. What do you think they try and control the?
What's the point?
I suppose what's the point? Yeah, if it's
Well,
such a small island. I mean,
If people, it's a venomous snake. And venomous snakes are pretty bad.
But
You don't want them anywhere else, do you?
that's true, but that's why you're not allowed to go to the island. So I guess no one's going to grab a snake and bring it back and then it'll
But there are
breed.
poachers that are buying them, and
They're buying them for the table.
what's he called?
though.
A yellowhead, a yellowhead venomous viper.
something like that. Yeah,
They're going to China as a delicacy, aren't they? Or
yeah,
as
you could see that, couldn't you?
or as a erectile dysfunction medication.
In early 1945, during World War II, the British decided they wanted to take back Ramree Island from the Japanese. Ramree Island is a fairly large, totally flat island off the coast of Burma that was a great staging location to fly air campaigns onto the mainland. So it was a great air base. And the British had actually owned this island, but the Japanese had taken it back from them in 1942. And so here they are in 1945 looking to take it back. So on January 21st, 1945, British and Indian infantry stormed the beaches of Ramree to try to take it back. As soon as they land, they have all this naval artillery support just bombing the crap out of this airbase, and it was just a matter of time before they overwhelmed the remaining Japanese. But the Japanese do not want to surrender, and instead they give up the airbase that they were on, so the British take that back, and the remaining 1,000 Japanese soldiers started retreating to the opposite end of the island, to where there was a much larger battalion of Japanese soldiers that they could meet up with. But the only issue with this particular retreat was they would have to go through 10 miles of mangrove swamp where there's poisonous spiders and insects and deep mud, making it almost impossible to move. But they're determined and they head off into the swamp. But what the Japanese were not ready for is what Ramree Island is famous for. A creature that makes poisonous snakes and spiders and insects look like child's play. And they were walking directly into its den. The British troops decided we're not going to go chasing them into the swamp. And instead what they did is they set up boats, blocking positions outside of the swamp. If any of the Japanese tried to escape, they would be there waiting. And so the only way the Japanese could get out of there would be to go to the absolute other end, 10 miles away, where their Japanese counterparts were. So that night, as the British are just kind of hanging out in their boats staring at the swamp, they start hearing screams coming from inside of this swamp, and it's Japanese soldiers. Then you hear gunfire, and then silence. And then it would start all over again. All over this huge swamp was just screams, gunfire, silence. Screams, gunfire, silence. And the British are watching this like, do we have troops in there? What's going on in there? What was going on in there is defined by the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest massacre of humans caused by animals. And not just any animal, saltwater crocodiles. These massive man-eating crocodiles can weigh up to 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds. They can grow to be 7 meters in length or about 23 feet in length. And National Geographic has labeled these crocodiles as the most likely to eat a human of all animals. And Ramree Island has the largest population of saltwater crocodiles in the world, and they all lived inside of this swamp that the...
It's absolutely terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was going to say piranha fish or something at first, but
I think that's a bit of a myth, piranhas.
But not in a swamp anyway, right?
No,
yeah, true, probably, yeah.
that's like straight out of Jaws, isn't it? You know, that story he tells where they're in the
imagine
water
something
and the
like that?
sharks.
But these weigh a ton.
Gee,
I know.
that is...
A ton in weight, and they love eating
Like
animals,
20
love eating
feet long
humans
as well, some of them. Jeez.
1,000 men went in. I wonder if he'll tell us how many. I've completely forgotten all the stuff in this, by the way.
Surely after so many, they'd be full, surely.
Yeah,
This
but
guy's a great storyteller, though.
He is.
I do
Very
like his
good.
channel.
Yeah.
Is I think he's a Marine,
Oh, he is?
US Marine,
Yeah,
or
right.
like ex-Marine, and then
Yeah.
since he's left, this is what he does.
Yeah.
But he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Researches it well and just really articulates, like
He does
builds
come
the
across
suspense
really
and
well,
stuff.
doesn't
He
doesn't
tells
Yeah,
the story
definitely.
as if he's telling you the pub.
Yeah,
You know, he's not like
Yeah.
like exaggerating it, and he's not dramatizing it in any way.
Yeah,
He's
it's
just
all
telling you as
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Matter of fact and everything,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah.
And comes across really well, doesn't
I
he?
think that's part of the charm. Really, he's just like a normal guy that you'd be chatting to in the pub, kind of like
Yeah.
our charm.
Anyone whose last name starts with B, A, and L and an L, got to be a top guy. Got to be.
Alec Baldwin.
He's only one L.
Japanese had gone into. A lot of them were bleeding from the battle they were in, and so they were literally alerting hundreds of saltwater
Jesus.
crocodiles to their location. Saltwater crocodiles are notorious night hunters. So what probably happened is the Japanese got inside of this mangrove. The crocodiles were immediately aware of their presence, but they waited until nighttime before they started having a feeding frenzy. And over the course of the night, a number of Japanese soldiers had jumped out the sides of the swamp, exposing themselves to the British. And so about 20 of them were captured, and they said that they were completely surrounded by these crocodiles, that everywhere you looked, there were growling, huge crocodiles eating one person, and as soon as they were done, they would just charge after you and eat you. And at the end of their retreat, when the Japanese did get to the other side of this swamp, only 500 of the 1,000 made it out the other side. And so to this day, people stay far away from Ramree
500
Island
people
because there are
killed.
so many of these man-eating saltwater crocodiles that have no issue ripping you to shreds.
What a way to go, eh?
At least it's 50-50 though,
Terrifying.
so as long as you give your mate a dead leg that's
Hey.
next to you.
Yeah. Can I look at that crocodile over there?
Everyone just gets surrounded by people and just trip people up one by one.
I
Keep going.
know.
It's straight out of like
is.
Jurassic Park or like Jaws and things like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What would you do? You're going to get shot if you go that way. Because I know they said that 20 of them surrendered, but I think the Japanese soldiers were told that the British and the Americans were monsters and like these giants that are going to torture them and do crazy things. to
think
them.
we've-
They look like crocodiles.
They were famous for not surrendering, weren't they, Japanese?
That's
You know,
why.
with Kamikaze pilots and all things like that.
But the propaganda, I've
Yeah.
seen the series The World at War. They showed loads of like Japanese people jumping on grenades rather than get
Really?
captured by the Americans.
Yeah, once some Japanese fighter found about 20 years after the war had ended.
I
That's
think
probably
it was-
where he was.
I think it was
Yeah,
in
I
the
was gonna-
70s.
yeah.
Yeah, still
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, still fine.
That's probably where he was in there.
Yeah, surprised.
How do you say that one?
Stuck in
though?
a tree and say, I ain't fucking getting down. Look at the size of that crocodile.
On November 14th, 2018, John Chow hired 2 fishermen to take him out to this little island in the Indian Ocean. The fishermen were not excited about this, not only because it was illegal to take him out to the island, but because the last time some fishermen had gone to this island, they had both died. But the fishermen needed the money, and so they went with John and they drove under the cover of darkness to this island and they anchored a little ways offshore. The next morning when the sun came up, John asked the fishermen to take him in a little bit closer, but the fishermen refused. So John puts a kayak in the water and he begins paddling into this island. And as he gets close to the actual beach, he sees someone come out of the forest who has their face painted yellow, and they're screeching at the top of their lungs. And John yells out that he's not threatening them, he just wants to come ashore and talk to them. And then a wave of people with yellow painted faces come charging out of the woodline and start firing arrows in his direction. So John, in a panic, turns around and paddles right back out to the fishing boat. Later that day, John tries to make another attempt at landing on this island and communicating with the people that live there.
I mean, he's asking for it, isn't he?
This wasn't that long ago, was it? I don't know when he said the year at the start.
It was a couple of years ago, I think. Yeah, it was fairly recent.
Yeah, I remember it was on the news, or I've either read about it or it was on the news. Yeah, in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Have you heard about our Lord and Saviour?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but if you're on one side of the island and that approaches and that's the welcoming you get, fuck off, go home, mate.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Just leave it.
It's not for you.
It's not
me. Important.
It's not a great welcome, so I think I'll just go back.
Yeah, you ain't gonna put that on your Facebook profile, mate.
Yeah.
The trick is there, or the key there is Christian missionary. He's there to spread the word of God, so he's doing God's work in his mind.
Is he the messenger?
He's fine. He's the messenger. He's not. Nothing bad's going to happen to him. But maybe they believe in a different God.
Exactly,
people on the island.
Yeah.
No, maybe they don't want nosy fuckers knocking on the door. You know what I mean?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
So he takes his kayak and he goes down a little bit farther away from where those people had emerged from the tree line earlier in the day and shot him with arrows. He figured he was a little bit farther out of arrow range this way. He lands his kayak, he gets out, and the same group of people come out farther down the beach where they had been before. They see John. They all start looking at each other and they start screeching and running down the beach towards John. John stands there until they come all the way up to him. They don't shoot him with arrows, but they take his kayak, and they don't really know what to make of him. They're staring at him, and they start speaking to each other in a language John doesn't understand. And then at some point, a child pulls his bow and arrow out and fires a bow directly at John. And he was holding a Bible, and he stopped the arrow with his Bible. And at that point, John is like, okay, I gotta go. And he jumps in the water, and without a kayak, has to swim a mile to get back to the fishing boat. The whole time, these people are firing arrows arbitrarily in his direction as he's swimming back out to the boat. And so the next day, on November 16th, he told the fishermen he wanted them to...
Mate, I'd have took this guy's money up front, and that would drop him off and then gone.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.
We'll wait here for you.
It's a one-way trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're daft enough to go over there. I'm not waiting for you.
Yeah.
Just pay in advance, and I'll take you, and then that's us done.
I think
deal's over.
The fishermen are probably putting bets on. They're probably sat on the what do you call it? Like the
Boat
anchored.
What do you call the outside bit of the boat? God. The deck.
The deck.
That's the one. Jesus, what a thing to forget. They sat on the deck just watching him, just like putting cash down. Is he going to make it back this time? Is that arrow going to hit
Could be
him?
the other side.
I'll
Is
give him 15 minutes.
They could be on the boat picking up the phone, phoning the guys on the island, going, "That God Squad guy's there. He's heading north now. If you go down the island, you just start yelling at him and firing arrows at him.
To shoot him again.
drop him off, and he would swim in, and he wanted them to leave and be completely out of sight. The fishermen did not want to do this, but John reassured them that he was going to be just fine. He knew what he was doing, and so the fishermen drop him off and they leave. The next day, when the fishermen come back to collect John, they see these people with painted yellow faces out on the beach dragging his body by a rope. No one knows exactly what happened to John, how they killed him. There's lots of speculation about how it went down, but it's too dangerous for anyone to go back and retrieve his body, and so his body remains at North Sentinel Island. The few hundred people that live on North Sentinel Island that were responsible for killing John Chow, they're referred to as the Sentinelese, and they are unbelievably primitive. They are completely cut off from the modern world. They live a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. They have no conception of agriculture. They haven't even discovered fire yet. They literally have to wait for lightning to strike and then run and collect the embers and try to keep the embers alive. Researchers believe that the Sentinelese are direct descendants from the earliest human ancestors that came out of Africa. And as much as we'd like to learn more about the Sentinelese, we probably won't, because they aggressively resist outside contact. They won't even let the other similarly primitive neighboring island tribes to come on their island. The Sentinelese want only Sentinelese on that island. No one else can be there. If you're not a Sentinelese and you try to go to their island, they'll just kill you. So let me know what you think of these 3 crazy locations, and let me know if you could go to any of these 3 locations, which one would it be and why? The best answer to that question will get pinned at the top of the comments section. If you enjoyed today's story and you haven't done this already, please...
Yeah, none of them, because you'll die everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't fancy snakes. I don't fancy crocodiles. So,
Yeah.
I don't fancy being shot at.
See, the fact that they've not even got fire.
Yeah.
I mean, if the hunter-gatherers, they're definitely eating him, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
There's cannibalism, without a
Big
doubt.
time.
I just find it absolutely incredible places that still exist, where people are that primitive that they've been cut off from, like
Yeah.
Well, he's
the modern...
parts of the Amazon like that, isn't he?
Yeah, it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Similar.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely incredible.
that is Darwinism at its best, though, isn't it, that last one? Because third time, and you just go and swim there with no cover, and you think you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Just you and your Bible, and your good attitude. Don't even speak the language, and you're going to go, can I just talk to you about God for a minute, mate? I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Yeah.
Is your dad in?
Can you speak to your mum and dad?
Yeah. Stop shooting at me with that bloody bow and arrow and go and get your dad. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a fan of Mr. Ballen.
Yeah, it's brilliant,
I
man.
watch his channel quite a lot. So
First time for me, yeah, really good.
Yeah,
really
same
enjoyed
first time.
that.
Yeah, I
Excellent.
thought we reacted, but obviously we haven't.
No.
So that's the first time I've seen him. Yeah, I like it a
same
lot.
here.
It's a great type of content. Like there's a lot of YouTube content I've discovered recently that are spooky stories, true crime, and it's a similar format.
Yeah.
It's someone discussing it to the camera.
Yeah.
And it's really engaging.
Yeah, it is. Good
No, he
man.
is definitely. He just tells it so well, doesn't he? Really does.
Yeah, really enjoy
yeah,
it.
And,
really interesting.
He
that.
doesn't need us to send people to his channel because he's got millions of subs. But if you haven't liked and subscribed, go to Mr.
it.
Ballen and do it. Definitely.
Loads of people in the comments that used to say, got to react to him,
Yeah.
But I sort of just noticed a lot of his videos are dead long.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
So
okay.
probably too long for us to do. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget like and subscribe, hit the bell. Catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.